Sixers franchise, the pillar, he's out for the year, which is not surprising because he struggled with knee injuries going back to last offseason. Last playoffs. Against the Knicks, didn't look right. Olympics didn't look right. At no point during the season did he resemble the dominating Joel Embiid, even from a year ago. He was slow, couldn't move, couldn't get to the basket, always looked like he was playing in severe pain. He would just cringe constantly. He'd take a step and you'd see him mildly fold like a lukewarm slice of pizza. He's shut down for the year. How pessimistic are you about the future of Joel Embiid?
Super. As the resident pessimism when it comes to injuries, especially to big dudes, there's even been chatter that the Sixers are, through the CBA, can null his contract from the cap. They still have to pay him, but it wouldn't count against their cap at this point next year if he still can't play. His knees are fucked up. Like the pictures of him sitting there with all the scars on his knees, it's sad. I think he'll come back and like have a good run again. But it's sad to say that like not all careers look the same, let alone like LeBron James. I think Joel Embiid has had a Hall of Fame career and he gets in on the first ballot. But I think the Embiid that we enjoyed so much is probably over.
Yeah, and with the advances in NBA medicine, I find particular lack of enjoyment in the fact that two guys who've really been hampered by injuries are Joel and Ben Simmons, the guys who are supposed to be like the Sixers, the two dudes who are going to carry this team to the promised land. These young guys were so talented. You know, their first year together, they went on a hot streak at the end of the year, looked like they might go further in the playoffs. And there was such optimism around that pairing. And obviously without getting into the history of how they splintered and went their separate ways, but the fact that both of them are shells of those guys, you know, Simmons because of his back and his knee, and Joe because of just repeated knee
his
issues.
Face. Yeah, breaking his face multiple times.
Bell's palsy. He started his career with broken feet 2 years straight. I mean, this is not new for him, but I just mean, you know, this is, I guess, potential energy made kinetic, or however you want to put it. But just that vision of like this Sixers, they're going to have a long time. These guys, they're going to eventually get there. And it's going to be so sweet when they earn their way. And now you're like, fuck, man. Damn.
Smoke them if you got them. Enjoy the moment. Be present. Like Michael Jordan said, always be present as a fan because you never know what the future holds. It could be these beautiful slice coming like fruits of NBA heaven, or go digging through the CBA to see if they can sign another player. And like Paul George is hurt, and like the Sixers had a great run, and I hope people enjoyed it as much as we did. That was awesome. It's ironic that Kawhi Leonard kind of was the roadblock to their best chance, in my opinion. Also Jimmy Butler years, but like that shot going in from a player who was rumored to have a grave injury as well, and has come back and like clung on to some hope that he could still reach a stage that would fulfill his promise of a Clipper. So Joel Embiid, I think, will not disappear. It feels like he will be back at some point, especially since the contract just started. But man, he was so awesome. And there was, I don't know. I want to talk about the Knicks thing a little bit, but I want you to wax.
Right. I mean, the last thing about Joe is maybe he's not done, right? Mm-hmm. He came back from 2 years of foot problems that we kind of thought his career was never going to start. I mean, him ending up being this superstar who has durability issues, to be clear, but that was really in doubt. So I don't know what's going on in his knee. They've been talking about experimental procedures of taking parts of his thigh bone and putting it in there, and all these his Matisse thigh bone.
Yeah.
So I don't know medically what the prognosis even is. Like, yeah, he can play without pain, but he won't have his mobility back. Or, oh, if he puts that thigh bone in there, he's going to be sprinting around and he'll be just like he was. I have no clue. From a basketball standpoint, the Joel over the last year, post injury, has been pretty good. I think that's what you could characterize him as. The scoring is still like sort of elite, but not like greatest we've ever seen. He had like a 4-year run, 5-year run, or whatever it was, where he was like in the MVP conversation, if not ahead at some point every season, putting up some of the greatest scoring years in NBA history. I mean, even last year, was he putting up 35, 36 on 65% true shooting? Just like farcical.
When he's
Not
on the
just-
court, he's awesome. Yeah.
Right. The version of him today, you're like, oh man, this declined Joel Embiid that only scores about as well as Jason Tatum.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
no,
he's,
still.
look at him. He's washed. He's only putting up 27 points per 36 minutes on a true shooting percentage of 58.
Yeah.
Like Jason Tatum.
No, I know. Maybe it's like reconfiguring our expectations, sadly. But if he could just play 40 games, it's valuable to the Sixers, who did not make a mistake signing him. That's what superstars cost. You don't let them walk. You sign him. So they did right by him there. I mean, this is when you can fall asleep. The Knicks were rumored to have been interested in giving up all the draft picks, all the McHale picks, all the assets that it took to get Cat for Joel Embiid last summer. Of course, in hindsight, Joel Embiid is not right. Woo, Knicks fans are like, that would have been the dumbest thing. Joel Embiid, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson might get a chip. This team now won't get a chip. Joel Embiid is that fucking good.
Yeah, the instant sort of revisionism about Joel Embiid because he's been hurt for a year is pretty outrageous. I mean, I don't expect less. Like, sure, of course people are doing that. Like, who is better, Joel Embiid or Boogie Cousins? Like, what are you talking about? Joel Embiid was an MVP candidate or the front runner for 4 years straight. You're saying Boogie Cousins or Joel Embiid? And I love Boogie Cousins. But Joel Embiid is one of the greatest players of his generation. It's him, Jokic, and Giannis in that group.